I concluded the Wendy Williams docuseries, Where is Wendy Williams? I actually watched the live stream Kempire had on TikTok last night. I don't have cable and I don't have Lifetime. And I gotta say, it was really interesting, especially the second part of the docuseries, because the first one was very triggering in a way and seemed exploitative. On its face, it did. And I've said a lot of things about Lifetime over the years because I do not particularly like how they handle all of the bios, or the biopics rather, of Black legends. I don't particularly. There are a few that I like the Clock Sisters one, but overall, I have issue. And so I was very, very, very apprehensive about watching this, especially the clips that I've seen and the trailer that they released, because seeing Wendy Williams in this way, and because I watched her over the years since the 90s when I was young, listening to her on the radio. I lived in DC and we got her shows in Philly and New York were syndicated, so I get to listen to her on the radio and understand her throughout all of these decades of listening to her, even on her talk show, which I always watched. I knew without a shadow of a doubt that she would not want us to see her this way. Now, a lot of this docuseries shows her in this incoherent state. So to see her the way, going to journalism school and, become this legend and icon in this space, and how she'd been praying for, wanting to be a celebrity and wanting to have her own talk show, to this, I just feel like, she might not have wanted this. Now Don Lemon, who would have dinner parties with Wendy, which Wendy would talk about, so I know it's true. Don Lemon mentioned on Twitter, or X, that, Wendy had a 3-picture deal with Lifetime. I watched the 2 she had already released, and so this might have been an obligation, and they used this story to finalize that contract that they had, which really makes sense. She loved Lifetime. Like, if she wanted to do a show, it had to be on Lifetime. If she wanted to do anything, she loved Lifetime and Lifetime movies, for sure. And she always talked about Lifetime. So I get that. But to see her in this state is really devastating, especially if you followed her entire career. And I thought it was exploitative, the first half of this series. It's a 2-part docuseries. But the second one does really shine a light on, not just her version, the version of dementia that she has, and aphasia. And, she's being more open, even in this state, about her thyroid issue, which she dealt with for about 10 years, and lymphedema that she had been struggling with for the last few years, that she's been very open about. She has. Seeing her in this state where she has absolutely no physical or mental control over any part of her life, mentally, physically, legally, financially, nothing. It is a really tough watch, for sure. But that second half, seeing her family, her sister, her dad, her son, her nephew, her niece, wanting to care for her, to be her caretaker and caregivers, and the court rejecting that, really does speak to a larger issue about adult conservatorship. It does. The control that could be stripped away, not just from the patient, but also from their family. It is very, very, there is just something we need to talk about eventually. And this might have been Lifetime and the family's way of illuminating a larger issue. I listened to Wendy for many, many years and watched her on her TV show. I do not think she would want this. And listen, this is me from the outside looking in. I don't know that she would want this, but I can tell you for sure how tight-knit she was. Her circle, you're talking about a period, her circle was very, very small. And, she had her one friend, Regina, that she always talked about, who knows where the bodies are buried, like best friends. Her friend, the love of her life, which was her ex-husband, and her son and her family. Really it. Not to have access to Wendy and her to, be controlled by strangers. I don't think she wanted that. She would not have wanted that. To not know or recognize, even in this state, recognize who you are and not be comforted by the memories her family, her own young adult son has, is just tough to watch. And I'm pretty sure it's tough to deal with for the family. Wow. Now that first half of this docuseries, where these handlers wanted to ply her with these vices that were not good for her and assuage her ego to, have a podcast or get back on TV to line their own pockets or further their financial gain, that was really, it was frustrating, because Wendy, if you know Wendy, just know that this is out of place. And a lot of that spilled over to the earlier half of this second part of the series. I hope that if you haven't seen it yet, that it's a hard watch, but I hope that you will give it a chance and watch it, because it may move the needle in your life about what you should prepare for. I think we need to prepare ourselves for when we do age, when we are older. What do we have in place for, financially, health-wise, and legally? Now, as you can imagine, the trolls came out in droves online that this is karma for Wendy Williams, and I push back on that. Karma comes to the just and the unjust. So I push back on that, that this is karma because, she was this shock jock and she would rag on celebrities. She is aging, and this is something that you could possibly go through as you age. Anyone can get sick. But, I push back because, people make a living doing this. There are magazines that have been established, a part of the establishment for decades, that are still in existence, who have built empires on ragging on celebrities. Joan Rivers, also Howard Stern, Harvey for TMZ. This is a whole business. This is part of Hollywood too. That's neither here nor there. But anyway, I push back on that. People have an issue with it, maybe because she was a Black woman doing it, breaking the glass ceiling. And if we really want to be honest, her style is the formula. A lot of these gossip blogs, magazine shows, a lot of them are modeling what Wendy Williams did, because she was a ratings queen. She really was the talk show queen for many seasons. And so she is the formula. I'll just leave it at that. But so I don't think that this is karma because she said some things about some celebrities. And I'm not diminishing how those celebrities felt about their name being put out there. I'm not diminishing that at all. But I am saying that she is not the first and definitely isn't the last. So I'll leave it at that. But I am praying for Wendy and her son, her dad, her brother and sister, her nephew, and her niece and her best friend. Hopefully they can reunite really soon. I think she would be in better hands with her family, who loves her and are more than willing to take care of her, than in the hands of strangers she doesn't recognize even in this stage and phase of her life. So hopefully they can reunite sooner rather than later, and that the courts will do the right thing and make sure that she is in the loving homes of her own family. Now, this is a difficult watch. I mean, it is brutal and it is triggering. But if you do want to watch this two-part docuseries, Lifetime, I'm sure, will air it again. But it is also available on the Lifetime app and Amazon Prime for a digital purchase or rental. At any rate, Where is Wendy Williams is currently streaming on the Lifetime app. I'm pretty sure they will air it again and again and again on repeats. It did do very well in the ratings. And it is also available to purchase on Amazon.